Primal Chaos. Hey guys, Primal Chaos here. Welcome to the channel. This is a song, at the time of filming this, came out about 4 days ago, and I've been hanging to get in the studio to get this one done. As you all know, I'm a fairly recent convert to Ren. I suspect, I've been keeping off like all the socials to try and avoid any spoilers for this one. Based on the imagery I've seen though, like I've sort of gleaned a couple of like sneaky photos and stuff. I feel like this is in a completely different direction to what I've experienced so far with Ren, which has largely been these live performance kind of deeply emotional experiences. And so I don't know what to expect going into this one, because from what I can see, it seems almost like it's going to be a more traditional music video experience, which leads me to feel like it's going to be a completely different auditory experience too. We'll find out. But if Ren makes me cry one more time, I may have to just hang up my Primal Chaos jacket and leave. The first time I ever cried in one of my videos, I was really debating whether or not I'd post it. And I did, and it worked out well, because I feel like when people watch reaction videos, what they're looking for is a connection to the reactor on an emotional level that's honest. And so, you know, if artists like Ren tend to bring that out of me a lot. But we'll see. Before I jump right in, I just want to say this video is brought to you in part by Enchroma. Enchroma make glasses for colorblind people like myself that allow us to see the world a little bit closer to how everyone else does. If you feel like you're colorblind, or you know someone who is, jump on the website. The link's in the description, and you can get a free eye test, find out if you have a deficiency, and if so, what kind, and you might be able to pick up some corrective lenses while you're there. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump right in. Ren Animal Flow. Here we go.
Animal flow. You're in the mind of a cannibal king, where chaos and anarchy roam, and trouble is bubbling under the skin. A certain insanity shows whenever I pick up the mic and begin. Whenever these words that I write with my pen come alive, they ignite like I pulled out the pin. Animal flow. Out in the jungle, I'm ready for war. I'm beating your brains with a bat, and I'm swinging it back, and it's spooky, your bike, cause I'm bored. Lord of the cannibals, bro. A murderous mind that you can't ignore. I wait and react with combat on the counter-attack. On the king of the jungle, I roar. Animal. Animal flow, I'm the flow CEO. I've got mountains of murderous rhymes. Mountain volcanic, I blow and cause mayhem and panic. There's nowhere to run from my mind. I'm an impassable foe, never slowing, just growing and flowing with intricate lines. Yes, I will dig in my teeth when I bite like a beast. Blood, I drink it like wine. Animal flow.
Come on.
Out in the wilderness, I will be king. Sit on my throne, I'm the Lord of the Rings.
Okay, I'm going to come back and come back into this part again. Yeah, right, okay. What I suspected is the truth. This is completely different. I mean, I don't know if it's completely different from Ren stuff, because as you guys know, I'm kind of a Ren newbie. And the ones that I've done so far, the videos I've done, have been largely hand-selected by the audience, and have like led me down a garden path of like what to expect. This isn't what I expected. Although, having said that, having seen stills from the video, I kind of sort of had some clues, right? Wow, this is punchy. I mean, first of all, the imagery is kind of a little Kubrickian. There we go. In that, you know, Ren sort of really strikingly reminds me of A Clockwork Orange, right? First of all, the outfit, the swagger, the walking stick, the attitude, and, you know, the kooky masks and stuff like that, and the energy of the clip that's kind of got that really abstract sort of imagery is definitely like it's got that whole 70s experimental, or late 60s, early 70s experimental cinema thing going on. But the track itself is, while extremely experimental, so it sort of leans into that, it's got like a very modern energy to it, right? So the clip itself reminds me of the 60s and 70s, but the song itself reminds me 100% of 2023. It's got a flavor, you know. I don't know enough about rap to be talking too much about, like, you know, if it's kind of trappy or whatever. I'll just make a fool of myself. But there's an attitude to it that sort of comes from that sort of SoundCloudy kind of, you know, the thing. And I mean, and also traditional rappers as well. but you know, the little growls and the attitude and stuff is, you know, he's sort of throwing that in to keep you interested. You could just wrap this flow really straight and keep it sort of on the level the whole time. But Ren is sort of manipulating you by punching you in the face every once in a while with some affectation or attitude or growl or rah or something that pops out and jumps. Like the music video is constantly surprising you. So is the audio track. I'm going to jump back a fair way, actually. Because I was so bamboozled. You know what? Let's go from the start. I was so bamboozled that I just wasn't sure exactly what I was watching. It's cool filtering.
Animal flow. You're in the mind of a cannibal king where chaos and anarchy roam, and trouble is bubbling under the skin. A certain insanity shows.
What does that say? Was it? What is it? Four legs good, two legs bad. Whatever goes on the whatever goes on the legs is an enemy. Whatever goes upon four legs or has wings is a friend. No animal shall wear clothes. No animal shall sleep in a bed. No animal shall drink alcohol. No animal shall. Oh, I didn't even see the guy. Oh my God, there's too much going on.
Animal flow. You're in the mind of a cannibal king where chaos and anarchy roam, and trouble is bubbling under the skin. A certain insanity shows. Whenever I pick up the mic and begin, whenever these words that I write with my pen come alive, they ignite like I pulled out the pin. Animal flow, out in the jungle, I'm ready for war.
Disturbing, man.
Brains with the bat, I'm swinging it back, and it's spooky. I bite 'cause I'm bored. Lord of the cannibals, bro. A murderous mind that you can't ignore. I wait and react with combat on the counter attack on the king of the jungle. I roar.
Animal.
I love how the percussion is all
I'm the flow
vocals as
CEO,
well.
I've got mountains of murderous rhymes.
Mountain volcanic, I blow and cause mayhem and panic. There's nowhere to run from my mind. I'm an impassable foe, never slowing, just growing and flowing with intricate lines. Yes, I will dig in my teeth when I bite like a beast. Blood, I drink it like wine.
Animal flow, out in the wilderness I will be king. Sit on my throne, I'm the Lord of the Rings. Out on my own, I'm a terrible thing. Animal skins over my shoulders like bling. They will be clothing my sins. I came to win, over and over again. I'll take your life with a grin.
Animal. Animal.
Animal.
Mary had the little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. It made the blood look so much redder when I slit its throat. Watch it drip, drop, drip, drop, till the ground was soaked. Oh, Mary, Mary, quite contrary how the blood it flows.
Horrific, explicit, I feed parasitic, acidic, I'm eating your flesh. Don't fidget, I'm livid, not mentally with it. I get kinda sick when I'm stressed. I am the I am the storm, I am the fury, I am the scorn, I am the belly, I am the beast. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I'm an animal, yes, I'm an animal. Yes, sometimes the things I say are irrational. Yes, sometimes the things I do are quite radical. Yes, I will be waging war on the capital. Yes, I will burn the houses of parliament down, 'cause hypocrites, they burn quite easily. Wow, burn and pillage it all to the ground. Your illegitimate king lost his crown. Animal flow, show no mercy under my rule. I won't be kind, I will be cruel. Drown all my foes in a paddling pool. Yes, I'm tyrannical, bro, so never mistake a man for a fool. I'll take your ignorance right back to school and teach you a lesson for testing my cool.
Animal. Animal.
Oh my God. All right. Yeah, that was a thing that happened. So, I mean, I'm just, the first thing that happens, right, when you watch something like this is it flows over you and you've got sort of like this, more than coming up with like allegories or analogs for the themes and stuff like that, your first experience with something like this is it washes over you and you get more of a sensation out of it, an emotional reaction rather than, you know, being able to explicitly break down what you're seeing into into concepts. You can do that on subsequent watches. I mean, if you can, I mean, some people might be far better at this than me. I mean, the first thing that you would jump out would be, you know, Animal Farm, right? Because there is a little bit of political conceptualization towards, like, the, you know, in the sort of the third act of the song where he's talking about, you know, toppling Parliament or whatever. And you know what? I find it real interesting, and I can't quite put a pin in why. From what I could see, the only other human in the video was the guy who was tied up at the start. And, you know, then the camera whips around and you see one of the characters chopping away in the kitchen, implying that, you know, they're eating people, right? And there's just something really unsettling about that. And I think, it could be a commentary about social stratification. You know, maybe it's he sort of alludes to it in the lyrics about, like, you know, Parliament and things like that, and how he's the new king and stuff like that. And I think what this is supposed to represent, as a first-time viewer, I haven't had a chance to even process this. My head's still spinning. It seems as if it's kind of like that eat the rich mentality. It's like the people are going to rise up and take control, the people being the animals. And Ren sort of positioning himself in this narrative as the king, you know, the leader of the rebellion kind of thing, maybe. But I find it also interesting that he's the one guy, aside from the guy who's being, you know, obviously held captive, he's the only one who's human, right? And I mean, obviously that's a semantic thing, because it's going to be a kind of a boring video if he's got a mask on as well. But it would have, I don't know if that means anything. I'd love to know if there's actually some sort of a meaning behind that in and of itself, because it's deeply complex. What's going on here? I mean, it might not be. It could be one of these things where it's emotionally rich and complex and unsettling and disturbing, and so you try to assign it meaning, whereas it could just be a collection of ideas. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily mean anything. Ren typically is a little bit more, in my estimation, from the few things I've seen, he's as a writer, he's much more, he usually delves deeper than that. You know, he doesn't leave things to chance. There's always little connections between things that sort of, you know, he won't leave strings, loose threads. You know, there's always something together that culminates in, there's meaning behind everything he puts in, because it'll culminate in a greater whole at the end of, you know, all the pieces come together. So I'm kind of at a loss. I don't know that I kind of get exactly what he's going for. My instinct would be that I think it's a cultural thing. It's like, you know, it's like that revolutionary idea of the elites, toppling the elites and the people in power. Yeah, in the same way, you know, that, you know, certain classic books have written about in the past, overbearing pressures from you know, controlling powers. You know, there's always some sort of a rebellion against that sort of thing, and I think that's kind of what he's going for here. But look, musically, it's spectacularly produced, right? So
my pen come alive, they ignite like I pulled out the pen.
Like little samples like that.
Flow out in the jungle, I'm ready for war. I'm beating your brains with a bat, and I'm swinging it back, and it's spooky. Your bike is
the backing track is just
bro. A murderous.
It's just got so much flair to it, right? It's so bombastic. You know, it's just an interesting rhythm to rap to as well, because it's kind of really punching into that, you know. And so it sort of dictates your flow, but Ren seems to really deftly navigate around that as well, to sort of get a lot of texture in his cadence by using a lot of syllables broken up across like larger words to try and get it to sort of meander through like a more complex beat, right?
That you can't ignore. I wait and react with combat on the counter attack on the.
But again, all of these little bits here, like these vocalizations, right? As instead of relying on the kick and the snare, he's doing it himself. Even though that 808 snare sort of thing is still there.
Animal flow, I'm the flow CEO. I've got mountains of murderous rhymes. Mountain volcanic, I blow and cause mayhem and panic. There's nowhere to run from my mind. I'm an impassable foe.
He's got so much swagger in his delivery, though. Like, it's not just in his like, it's the twang in his accent as well, and it's his desire to keep changing his delivery. We noticed that in High Ren as well with the two characters. You know, this guy he's presenting here has the swagger of that, you know, that secondary darker character in High Ren, where he's got kind of like that he's kind of more pushy and aggressive, and he's got an attitude, and you know, like that's that sort of flavor to his delivery. And I wonder if that's a correlation. I wonder if this aggressive, revolutionary, cocky character in some way is related to that concept of his id, who's negative and tearing him down and things like that, or aggressive or cocky. Yeah, I think that there's a correlation there. I mean, it could just be that that's just how he characterizes his own personal attitude. But yeah, it's definitely something there that's reminding me. Like, think about this, you know, when he's looking at himself, and you know, you've got like it's almost like High Ren is kind of like the angel and devil on your shoulders, right? And the devil character sounds just like
panic,
this guy.
I blow and cause mayhem and panic. There's nowhere to run from my mind. I'm an impassable foe, never slowing, just growing and flowing with intricate lines. Yes, I will dig in my teeth when I bite like a beast. Blood, I drink it like wine. Animal flow, out in the wilderness I will be king. Sit on my throne, I'm the Lord of the Rings. Out on my own, I'm a terrible thing.
It sounds like he's using dissonance there too. Like if I go back, when that comes in,
sit on my throne, I'm the Lord of the Rings. Out on my own, I'm a terrible thing. Animal.
I can't quite exactly hear, but it sounds like he's doing like a minor second there, which is these two notes. Which in and of itself, I mean, if you ever heard Kubrick, Eyes Wide Shut, the entire soundtrack is basically this. You know? And so he's basically taking those two notes and, you know, anytime you take two notes that are next to each other on a piano, it's unsettling and disturbing. If you move out, like that's a minor second, but if you move it out another semitone, suddenly it's a harmony, you know? But put them next to each other, and he's kind of got this thing going on, and it's designed to elicit that unsettling sound. And I mean, again, that's songwriting and production wise, it just shows a lot of knowledge of how to manipulate people through sound.
My phone, I'm the Lord of the Rings. Out on my own, I'm a terrible thing. Animal skins over my shoulders like bling. They will be clothing my sins. I came to win over and over again. I'll take your life with a grin.
Animal. Animal.
Oh, that little gap.
Animal. Mary had the little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. It made the blood look so much redder when I slit its throat. What?
But hang on, again, listen to this in the background. I mean, let's not discount the fact that that is a really unsettling verse, right? Especially with the imagery, you know, like the dead eyes staring at you and stuff. I mean, and the wolf leading the sheep to, I guess, some sort of an allegorical slaughter, so to speak. But
lamb whose fleece was white as.
But like, listen to this.
Animal. Mary had the little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. It made the blood look so much redder when I slit its throat. Watch it drip, drop, drip, drop.
So in the background, you've got that. What would it be? Something like that, but it's not. It's going. It's basically, I don't know how he did it, so I can't replicate it, but you can hear it's dropping in pitch as each note goes in a way that, again, it sounds like this weird sort of, what's the word? I keep saying unsettling, but it's more, it just throws you off kilter. Your ear just feels uncomfortable with it, right?
Lamb whose fleece was white as snow. It made the blood look so much redder when I slit its throat. Watch it drip, drop, till the ground was soaked. Oh, Mary, Mary, quite contrary how the blood it flows. Horrific, explicit, I feel parasitic, acidic, I'm eating your flesh. Don't fidget, I'm livid, not mentally with it. I get kinda sick when I'm stressed. I am the I am the storm, I am the fury, I am the scorn, I am the belly, I am the beast. Yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I'm an animal, yes, I'm an animal, yes, sometimes the things I say are irrational, yes, sometimes the things I do are quite radical. I will burn the Houses of Parliament down, cause hypocrites, they burn quite easily, wow. Burn and pillage it all to the ground. Your illegitimate king lost his crown. Animal flow, show no mercy under my rule. I won't be kind, I will be cruel. Down on my foes in a paddling pool. Yes, I'm tyrannical, bro, so never mistake a man for a fool. I'll take your ignorance right back to school and teach you a lesson for testing my cool.
Animal.
Oh man, that's disturbing. That is so disturbing. I guess the other thing I forgot to mention that I noticed right off the bat, obviously, is that, again, I'm going to have to find out the name of the guy, because I'm assuming this is the same guy shooting this that always does with Ren stuff. It's so beautifully choreographed. This entire thing is a single camera shot, obviously, but it's never out of focus. It's always, you know, in sync. That everybody's choreographed this so well, and particularly with so many moving parts. I'd love to know how many takes this took, because imagine being the guy who screwed it up. You know, the single shot thing lends itself again to be more engaging, because there's no distractions, there's no cuts to make you sort of go and lose interest and sort of move on with your thought process. You're just taken on this journey the whole time, all the way from the room in the top, all the way through all the rooms in the apartment building, down onto the street, and then choreographing all of these other extras who are coming through as well, following him down the street, obviously towards the, you know, towards the guillotines, if that makes sense. You know, starting the rebellion of the animal uprising. So just, you know, to sort of allegorically sort of frame it. This is phenomenal. It's really good. And I don't know, like, what I was expecting. It wasn't this, but it's, you know, to me, all this does is cement in my mind how much of a pure artist that Ren is. You know, a lot of people will see, like, they'll think, oh, I'm going to make a music video, and they'll look around at music videos that inspire them, and they're like, yeah, I want it to look like that, or I want it to have this sort of element in it, same as this, or it's got to look on genre, right? If you're a, say, for example, a power metal band or a metalcore band, there's a certain aesthetic your clips have to have. I mean, they don't, but they often do. They often follow, like, a process of how they're supposed to look and how you sort of, you know, in order to fit within the genre, this is what the audience expects to see. This is a completely different thing. The song itself, the music video, all of it is just pure artistic output. I don't know that there's I mean, I made some correlations earlier with experimental cinema and things like Stanley Kubrick and things like that, which I'm sure is part of it. But it's also, like, if that was specifically an influence, it's a far-reaching influence. Like, that's a deep cut, so to speak. And again, I might be off base there. Maybe he's relating it to a whole bunch of other influences and stuff like that. But in my personal cinema-going experience, that's the thing that strikes me, is he has the swagger of the Droogs, you know, like the Clockwork Orange kind of ultra-violence gang sort of thing, you know. And again, that cocky British swagger as well. I mean, that's another thing too. Like, you know, a Clockwork Orange is quintessentially late 60s Britain in through like a surrealist kind of lens, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm lost for words on this one. It's not something that you can just watch once and then take away all of the messaging. So what I'd be really grateful for is if you've noticed something that I missed, which is probably 99% of it, hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear more about, like, you know, or what people are discussing in other comments and stuff like that, like things that are probably glaringly obvious that sort of just, you know, went over my head or whatever. I'd love to know more intricacies and more details and stuff like that. So help me out in the comments. That's why I'm here. You guys are there to teach me. All right. Anyway, that's about all I got to say. If you feel like I've brightened your day at all, feel free to support the channel. Just buy me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description, or like, share, follow, subscribe. Throw this on whatever Discord servers you follow. I'd love more people getting the message out there. Thanks again. Appreciate all of you. Stay primal, and I'll catch you on the next one.